It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That's brand new stuff from the album Into the Storm from Axel Rudi Pell, a tune called Burning Chains. And on the phone right now, the legendary guitarist himself, Mr. Axel Rudi Pell. Axel, how are you, man?
I'm great, thanks. Hi.
Excellent. Well, Axel, I've got to say, man, as a fan of your work as Axel Rudi Pell, the band, I guess, as ARP, this record is an absolute stunner, just like the last one. It literally picks up where you left off with Circle of the Oath and just continues right down the path, man. It's very good stuff.
Thank you very much. I think I only create masterpieces.
Sure. Well, let me ask you about that, Axel, because like I said, this does sort of, it really feels like, in many ways, it feels like a companion piece to Circle of the Oath. You know, is this just kind of a statement that you have hit kind of a creative groove with yourself and Johnny and the band?
You know, I think it's the next step forward, actually, I think. And, you know, I'm really proud of the record. I think it's some kind of continuing story, you know, and actually I'm really proud of it. What else can I say?
Yeah, sure. Well, Axel, one big change for ARP this time is the addition of Bobby Rondinelli joining the band as the drummer. Clearly, Bobby is one of the best drummers in the world. You know, how did he end up in your band?
You know, it was pretty easy to explain it very quick. When Mike left, obviously I made a list, you know, and of course Bobby was one of my all-time favorite drummers, and it was very easy to get in contact with him because a good friend of mine, his name is Horst, actually knew Bobby since his old days in Rainbow, you know, at the beginning of the 80s, and they were still in contact. And I called my friend and I said, hey, do you have still Bobby's email address? You know, he said, of course. And he gave it to me. I wrote an email to Bobby explaining myself. This is Axel. I'm looking for a new drummer, blah, 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 blah. And Bobby replied, I think in between 1 or 2 days, and he said, I heard your name, but I never heard your kind of music, you know. So I sent some MP3 stuff to him. I sent him some links from YouTube and stuff, and I listened to our shit. And he said, wow, actually, this is absolutely this kind of music I love to play and love to hear, you know. And he said, you know what, Axel, I'm available, and I would like to do it. And I said, Bobby, you're my guy, you're in the band, you know. So, and then he flew over from New York to Germany, and we recorded the tracks. And it was, you know, when I first met him, we talked several hours, and he played to the tracks. I had a feeling that I knew this guy for more than 20 or 30 years, you know. He was more like a brother, you know. Sure. So we're the same musical level and stuff, and he's great, you know. He's a really cool guy.
Sure. Now, with that, does bringing in a new drummer, and certainly, you know, a guy like Bobby, I'm going to imagine can play just about anything. You know, does bringing in a new guy like Bobby, does that change, you know, how the recording process goes and how you work individually, you know, with each other to develop each song?
Yeah, actually, it happens that Bobby is very quick in learning new songs. You know, when I played the kind of riffs which I had composed before I had my demos, and you listen to the tracks in the studio, I don't have to explain everything, you know. I don't have to say, I think I have this drumming in mind, or can you change this, can you change that, you know. Actually, he said, just give me a try, let me hear it first. And then we went over the song. He sat behind the drum kit, and it was natural feeling. He said, what do you think about this, Axel? And he drummed to the tracks of the rhythm guitar and stuff. And I said, wow, that's incredible, you know. That's exactly what I had in mind when I wrote the songs before, you know. And it actually worked out pretty good.
Sure, definitely. Well, Axel, you know, at this point, if I'm not mistaken, 2014 is your 30-year anniversary from when you began playing with Steeler.
Right.
As a guitar player, and you know, with 30 years going by, how do you think that you have changed as a player and as a performer?
You know, I definitely made a big development on the guitar because when I started with Steel, I was pretty young.
Yeah.
No, I'm a very old guy. You know, I still can hang the guitar. You know, but anyway, you know, when I first started, it was always about getting the chicks, you know. I was like, okay, I have to play the guitar, I have to learn a bit, but it's getting the chicks and drinking some beer, getting drunk and stuff, and go out and play as fast as you can or something, some shit like that, you know. Right. All over the years, I discovered that there's much more to than just playing fast, you know. I think a good guitar player has to put some emotions to the playing, you know. I don't fucking care if anybody can play a million notes in 2 seconds, you know. I don't give a shit about that. Right. So for me, it's much more important to say something through the guitar, to put all the emotions and feelings into the solos and into the sound and into the songwriting, you know. And I think I developed on this, in this progress in the last couple of years, 15 or 20 years, you know. I'm still making progress.
Sure, but and one of the things that's interesting though with you is that you are disciplined enough, and I'll use that word discipline as the key word. You're disciplined enough to know that when you're writing stuff that doesn't fit a certain project, to go do it in a different way, like you've done with your ballads releases, where you kind of, instead of just trying to work those into, you know, what people are commonly knowing as Axel Rudi Pell, the band right now, you take those kind of songs and you bring them together, and then you do a separate project more or less with them, right?
That's exactly, yes, of course. You know, actually, these ballad things you're talking about, it happens when a few guys in my neighborhood where I used to live a couple of years ago, when they first started out with the first ballad, I think it was in 1993, actually they're saying, you're a musician, right? I say, yeah. And they say, can we listen to your record? We're not hard rock or metal freaks. I said, okay, give it a try. And I gave the CD to the guys, and they put it in the player and they returned after a couple of days and said, it's not our kind of music, but the ballad is really great. Why don't you release an album just with ballads, you know? Because you're actually a good ballad writer. And I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And when the first ballad record came out, I think it was 1993, it was the best sold ARP record to that point, you know. And I said, okay, that's cool, you know. So, yeah. Actually, I like to write ballads too, you know. Yeah.
Sure. Now, what brings you to, you know, obviously with the first one you had a reason to write it, but with the subsequent ones that came after it, what brought you to those? Did you just have more ideas for songs, or were you just kind of in that mood at that time, or?
You know, it happens all over, I mean, every 5, 6, or 7 years when the record companies say, what about releasing another ballad album? I said, okay, of course, I can, and we can do that, because I have so much songs in my mind, so much inspirations, melodies, little riffs, little something here and there, because I'm writing all over the year. You know, what happened when we're recording this record, Into the Storm, it happened when I was in the studio with my engineer and co-producer Charlie. We sat there and we searched for the right rhythm guitar sound, and I played something, blah, 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 and suddenly a riff came to my mind. I said, oh, that's a cool idea for the next album, you know, and I pressed the recording button to just get the idea, you know. So I'm writing, and there are always a few ballad leftovers, and it's very easy for me to write a new ballad or something, yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's bring it back to Into the Storm. There's a song on the new record that I'm going to guess is very personal, either to you or to somebody in the band, called When Truth Hurts. It just seems like that's very personal. Is that truly a personal song, and what is it about?
No.
No, not at all?
Unfortunately, I have to say. It's just all the lyrics, it's just fictional, you know, things that are not happening for real, you know. It was like, I had this title, When Truth Hurts, and I had to write some lyrics about that title, you know. And but it's nothing personal.
Okay, fair enough.
So no story is actually true.
Right. Well, let me ask you about the cover that you did as well. The cover of Neil Young's "Hey Hey My My." This one, and I'll even go back to when you guys did the Phil Collins song, you know, a couple years ago. It seems like you guys don't just you know, redo a song. It seems like you really rework it and add in the Axel Rudi Pell flavor to it, big time. You know, when you're looking at songs, what is it that you hear that makes you decide to do that song? And I mean, do you hear in your head? Do you hear a way that you can change it, or a way that you think it can sound different, or what is it that makes you choose a specific song to do?
You know, sometimes it happened, like you said, the Phil Collins song in the Air Tonight it happened because I always liked that track, the melody and stuff, but I wasn't so much keen about the arrangement. I like to change the arrangement to make it fit to ARP music. And this is my first intention to do that. On the other hand, we got the inspiration for doing the Hey Hey My My Neil Young cover, not by Neil Young. I knew about the song, but what happened was when we watched the TV series called Sons of Anarchy. You heard about it?
Sure.
Yes, and I think it was in season 3 in the last episode. They had this little piece of Hey Hey My My only with the piano and the vocals and nothing else. It was a very short piece, like nearly 2 minutes or something. I said, "Whoa, actually, this is a pretty good idea." And I thought about it. All the songs, all the other songs were written so far to that point for Into the Storm. But I said maybe it's a good idea to make another cover. Of course, adding the drums to it, electric guitar, a real violin, and the keyboard and the bass. And I talked to the other guys. Say, what do you think about it? I say, okay, why not give it a try? And actually, it turned out really cool. So everybody in the band is loving that track.
Absolutely, and it is such a cool track. It has like almost a haunting vibe to it, man. It's very cool.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
Well, let me ask you too about singers. You've obviously worked with, at least 3 that I can name off the top of my head that are considered some of the very best in the world. That being Jeff Scott Soto and Rob Rock, and of course Johnny Gioli. Now, when you're looking for a singer for your band, not that you're looking for one now, but when you are actually looking for singers, what is it that you listen for that leads you to guys like Jeff or Rob or Johnny?
Yeah, the first thing I have always in mind, they had to, I'm also looking for a singer who is able to sing a bit like Ronnie Dio.
Okay.
From the range and from the style. This is always my first choice, because I'm a big Ronnie James Dio admirer. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago, but he's still in my head, and he has to, this little magical thing has to be there in the voice. And this is my first thing every singer has to have.
Excellent. And now working with Johnny, I think Johnny has as big of a range as anybody in music today, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's one of the top 3 or top 5 vocal guys concerning hard rock music all over the world. I think he's really his range is incredible. Yeah. Sure,
definitely. Well, Axel, how difficult is it today to make a good living playing music, in a world where you have so much downloading and, music is kind of given away for free with like iTunes and Spotify and that kind of stuff. How difficult is it for a guy like you to go out there and record a 10 song CD and, come up with all the packaging that you do and get people to purchase it now versus the old days where, $1 million contracts kind of took care of people?
Right. The first thing is that you have to put something special inside the package, Otherwise, all the people will get, okay, I can get it for free on the internet, I can download here, I can download there. But most people, maybe 70 or 80% are still buying these physical things because they want to have something in their hands of the artist they love. They have a booklet. When you buy the special box, you have an original guitar pick and you have the metal button or a flag or a patch or anything else like that, So you have to add something special to it. So that makes the people go out and buy their stuff in the shops or on the internet,
Sure.
So it's always like this, but a real artist like ourselves or like me, we can't live without playing live shows. I think that's the most income of everything because when you're only selling records, it's not enough to make a living out of it. So we have to play live.
Sure. Now,
and we're doing that.
Absolutely. And you mentioned about the packaging, and I will say that about you specifically. Every product that you guys put out comes out with 4 or 5 different packaging things that are immaculate. That are I'll put it out. I'll put it in the same category as like Kiss, and not that I'm not a Kiss fan, but Kiss when they put out a product, they go all out. It's a really nice booklet, it's a really nice jewel case, it's a really nice package, and it seems like you go the extra mile to make sure that there's different packages that people can buy, and all of it is very well done.
That's right. Thank you very much. But the people they keep asking for that kind of thing. So they say, "Oh, it's only a record, it's only a jewel case and something. Maybe there are 2 pages inside and nothing else." That wouldn't make sense. They put all the lyrics inside, photos and stuff, and like I said, the other extra special gimmicks and stuff. So the people love it. And always say, give the audience what they want. And that's so much. So much people kept on asking, what about adding a shirt or adding something special, and we're giving that to the audience, and they love it.
Absolutely. Well, Axel, the new album is called Into the Storm. I'm going to assume that you're going to be touring heavily in 2014, so what's the plan?
Yes, the first leg of the tour starts, I think, around in 4 weeks or something. And it's the first leg of the European tour. Then we're doing a very special show in the summer with the headliners at one night at the Bang Your Head Festival in Germany. Uh-huh. This will be, I think, a 3.5 hour show with different musical friends joining us on stage. As far as I remember, all the original ARP singers will be there too on stage, and we're doing a small Steeler reunion, my first band I was in Germany. And this will last about 30 or 35 minutes. So all in all, it's a very special ARP 25th anniversary solo show, and of course the 30th anniversary Steeler show. And then in the fall, we're starting with the second leg of the European tour, and probably the third leg. I don't know when.
So, needless to say, you're going to be busy.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Excellent. Well, Axel, before I let you go, why don't we get all the plugs out of the way? Where can people go to find out more about you and about the new record, Into the Storm?
I think the best thing is when I turn on Facebook, when looking for the official Axel Rudi Pell site there. I think there's much information there. Of course, you can go to my homepage at axel-rudi-pell.de. And there's still information there, but I think I prefer the Facebook page.
Okay, excellent. Well, people will definitely be directed to go there. Well, as a tradition on the show, Axel, we always let the artist pick a closing track. So why don't you pick something from Into the Storm for us to play and maybe tell us a quick story about it?
You already played Burning Chains, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So this next track is the cover version we did of Hey, Hey, My, and I'm sure you'll love it.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. This is Axel Rudi Pell with Hey, Hey, My, exclusively here on your Classic Metal Show.